It's official. One of the biggest Disney mistakes to the tune of $1 billion happened this week. Let's get into it. $1 billion mistakes. Marvel screwing up, but you have to stay tuned till number 1 on the list. Here with Fire Guy Ryan. Slap the like button, hit the subscribe. We're here every 7 days covering the most trending comic books in the world.
We're here at number 10 with the very first book on this list, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Halcyon Legacy issue number 1 that came out last year. We're seeing $4 average sales for this book with a recent high CGC 9.6 sale earlier this month for $36.
$50 for a CGC 9.8 at the end of December. This is a fairly new book, and its keyworthiness could be surmised as a Disney failure.
It's a little random to be seeing a 244% increase in a totally random, weird, offshoot Star Wars miniseries like this in the last week. However, when you look at the reason for the existence of this book in the first place, it is a tie-in to a hotel that was built in the Star Wars section down in Disneyland in California that has already shut down after less than 2 years of being open.
This was a very ambitious idea, taking a hotel, designing it like a spaceship. Literally, windows were absent from these rooms, instead replaced with television screens that displayed Star Wars space and stars, so you can literally feel like you were out of this world.
The catch here, however, is that for a 2-day stay for 2 people, which is the minimum, requirement to get into this place, $4,800 for 2 days for 2 people, $6,000 for 4 people. So it's kind of out of the price range for pretty much everybody.
A marketing plan that was essentially targeting the most diehard of Star Wars fans, and even their gift shop wasn't open to the public. You literally had to pay that entry fee to even be able to shop in the hotel that ideally you would stay at the entire time. I mean, there was even a restaurant that was there themed like Star Wars. Well, outside of what seemed like a preposterous request to have people pay this much money, they also thought it would be a good idea to release a comic book to accompany its release, and that's the book that's on the list.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about it. There is a comic book tie-in to this that tells the story of what life is like on this starship, so you could save a lot of money and just read the comic.
This whole thing was like $1 billion investment for Disney, and after this week, it's been announced that they're closing it down. What a blunder. And this isn't the only Star Wars book on the Trending 20.
That's true. This list of 10 books does come from a larger list of 20 trending comics over on the Key Collector Comics app. We source all of these 10 books from those 20, and on that wider list of 20 books, there is another Star Wars book. Star Wars, The High Republic Adventures, Quest of the Jedi number 1 came out last month. There's a whole bunch of High Republic era first appearances in there, and that's hitting about $20.
You may be able to find that at your LCS, and there are more books that you need to know that are spiking that you may own. Download Key Collector Comics, the best app in comic book collecting. You can utilize code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app. Support the show. Get access to a plethora of categories that could literally make you money. Stay ahead of the game, find out what comics are spiking, and keep up with us. Next on the list at number 9, we have Adventures of Superman 500. This came in a white poly bag post the death of Superman.
Yeah, this came out during the peak of the 90s era, 1993, early 90s stuff. There's a whole bunch of these out there, which is why we're seeing these go for $3 average sales. We are seeing a 110% increase in copies sold compared to last week because a lot of the characters that were first introduced in the reign of the Superman era that we're seeing in this issue are sort of coming back into focus in the current run of Action Comics and Superman.
$95 CGC 9.8 tells me that not only should you avoid investing in a 9.8 copy because you can get these for $3 raw, this is a great book to try to find high-grade copies of to pay that nominal, $20 to $25 fee to get it graded and then come out 3x above because regardless of how printed this was, it's a classic book with multiple first appearances. We have the first appearance of John Henry, which is a character that later becomes Steel. We also have the first appearance of Superboy, Connor Kent, Cyborg Superman, and a 200,000-year-old Kryptonian android.
Yeah, that would be the Eradicator. That's the one of those 4 that I always forget about. But these are important characters in the grand scheme of things, especially people like Superboy, who has kind of been more modernly retconned as a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor into one body, who is actually he has his own miniseries right now. Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, which is currently on issue 2, I believe. It's not a bad little run. It's about him trying to find his place in the galaxy. Speaking of miniseries, though, the miniseries is called Steelworks, and it's actually being written by Michael Dorn, who provided the voice of Steel back in the Superman animated series.
We got Cyborg Superman coming in the pages as an antagonist in Action Comics, and we have a full nostalgia cycle in full swing over these last couple years, and this book is definitely on that list of keys to own if you experienced any of these hot books in the 90s.
We've also been mentioning it for like a while, but you need to be reading Action Comics. As long as Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing it, you need to be reading that book. It's a phenomenal title, and he is one of my favorite writers right now.
And it's no surprise to me after the major success and quality of the War World story arc that everyone needs to read regardless of their critique of the Man of Steel. And by the way, speaking of that nostalgia cycle, take a look at this outstanding variant that just came out featuring all 4 of the characters that debuted in this story.
You'll have to trust me when I say I own it. I got it this week in my pull list. I didn't bring it, though. I definitely should have brought it. It's a really pretty cover. It's got all 4 of the replacement Superman characters right there on the front. Really cool cover. But let's move on. We've got number 8 next on the list. New Teen Titans, issue number 1 from 1980.
Teen Titans are in a weird spot right now with the recent finale having debuted. The Titans show is done. We haven't seen a Titans ongoing story since 2019. We had the Teen Titans kind of take on the role of the JLA, which have been absent for quite some time in the DC comic book universe. And not to mention Tom Taylor taking on the Teen Titans right now. And if he does even a quarter of the quality that he did during the Nightwing run, Teen Titans is about to blow up.
You took the words right out of my mouth. We're seeing $40 average sales for New Teen Titans issue number 1. It's the second appearance of all of these characters because the New Teen Titans first appeared in DC Comics Presents number 26, but that cover's kind of gross. There's too much going on. It's busy. It's the first appearance, so it's important, but the second appearance here in New Teen Titans number 1, it presents a whole lot better.
This book isn't easy to get in high grade. Only 320 exist at a CGC 9.8. The heights this book reached was last year when it hit $700 at that grade. The most recent 9.8 sale took place in May for $432. Get this book because it's dope. Own this book because it's an awesome George Perez key. And read all of these books, not just for the story, but for the George Perez art, how he was able to fit so many characters in such a clean way, in such small panels. It still amazes me to this day.
And while common sense might tell you that maybe after the live-action series is over, it might be a good time to invest in Titans when interest is low, the Titans comic is really poised to become something special. So I don't know if now is the best time to invest in Titans keys like this. Nevertheless, we are seeing excitement because of the new Titans run.
Comic fam, you need to add Tom Taylor written comics to your pull list, damn it. And at the list at number 7, we have Spider-Man 2099 meets Spider-Man. This is a one-shot. And yes, it's the first time that happens. The key importance is in the title.
Yeah, I really wish all comic books put their key significance right there in the title. That would certainly make our jobs a lot easier. But yeah, we do have the first appearance of Spider-Man 2211, which is a completely separate side universe of Spider-Man characters, and I guess that's cool. But I think the reason we're seeing this book on the list is because of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099 meeting each other, which we will see on screen next week in Across the Spider-Verse.
An increase of 400%, and the reviews have been coming in, and they have been so incredible. I'm so pumped to see this movie. Let's go through some of the things that people are saying because the bar was set so high with Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and it's been a long 5 years since that movie came out, too, so I'm actually getting pretty excited for this new one.
The Hollywood Reporter said that this is yet another resounding win for the Lord Miller-produced universe, that it's darker and sadder than they expected, but necessary.
There's also another review here from Rotten Tomatoes, who basically says that this movie raises the bar that was already set impossibly high by the original Into the Spider-Verse movie, which bodes well.
And then Cinema Blend had this to say. This movie lives one step above a masterpiece. It's an actual work of art. Every frame deserves to be hung in a museum. The jokes and nods to Spidey lore are perfect. It's outstanding. The best Spider-Man movie might be my favorite movie ever. Cherish it.
Those are a lot of bold claims, all back to back. So I don't know how this works, but we won't have to wait that long. It comes out next week, and we really need to schedule a field trip to go see it because we got a lot of crap in the comments for waiting so long to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Which I saw yesterday, teared up, and holy smokes, I want to get Guardians of the Galaxy and Rocket Raccoon keys. But I digress because this isn't the only Spider-Verse key book being spec'd on and trending this week.
Correct. We mentioned it earlier, the Key Collector Trending 20, which has twice as many books on it as this list of 10. We saw Vault of Spiders issue number 1, which came out in October 2018. That has the first appearance of several different spider characters, including Spider Bite, which is like an internet operating VR type of spider character who does appear in Across the Spider-Verse.
See where that book landed, because it's trending well while we chat about number 6 on the list. Ooh, we got a blue chip key here. Captain America 117. The first appearance of the original Falcon. The first appearance of Sam Wilson. The first African-American superhero in mainstream comics. Hot damn.
According to Key Collector, we're seeing $1,700 average sales for this book, which is a pretty loose average because the most recent sale we have seen specifically says a 9.4 just went for $2,640 earlier this month.
You can get this book in mid-grade for around $300, and the book is down royally. Take a look at this GPA snapshot. So much red on a book that is so respected, tough and high grade, and I think possibly perfect to be putting money down now on. I'm so hyped about Captain America 4, and I don't even care if we're getting the Serpent Society.
Yeah, we joked about them last week based on some set photos that were taken of Seth Rollins filming something on the streets for Captain America New World Order, but we also got a couple of new photographs taken as well on the set of Captain America New World Order featuring Sam Wilson and Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon.
I'm so stoked to see Joaquin Torres finally go full Falcon. We have an increase of copies sold of 425%. As these set photos get leaked, people are starting to speculate. But really, there's not much to speculate on. Like, we're seeing some silhouettes of people.
A silhouette, you say? Maybe that's King Cobra, the leader of the Serpent Society. It could be. It could be. Look at it. It's a black outline of a person.
Well, regardless, this is a book that I want members to seriously consider because it's so down and it's so respected.
Well put. Let's move on. Number 5, Meet the Skrulls, issue number 1. Relatively recent book from 2019. We are seeing $8 average sales, again, because it is so recent, with a recent CGC 9.8 sale of $81 earlier this month.
Yo, it's been years waiting for who Emilia Clarke, Khaleesi, was going to portray in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Was it going to be Spider-Woman? Is it going to be Varanki the Skrull Queen? And then out of nowhere, a run that just came out a few years ago has the first appearance of who she's going to portray. I love this when it happens. Modern comic books literally being sourced for the big screen.
A couple of months ago, we did get news officially confirmed by Variety that this would be the character Emilia Clarke played in Secret Invasion. However, back in November, if you had your Key Collector app downloaded and your key alerts turned on, which is my personal favorite part of the app, you would have learned that there were strong rumors that Emilia Clarke was playing the character of Gaia.
Now, this book's hit record highs of $250. That's because the spec pointing to the Skrulls, Emilia Clarke, and truthfully, it makes sense that that book could warrant that much, even if it's so prevalent. Well, the last GPA sale was $81 in May. So I think this book could climb, especially if Emilia's in it for the long term.
And what's interesting, too, is we did meet this character already back in Captain Marvel in 2019, which was a flashback story taking place in the 90s. We met the Skrull Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn, and his daughter, who we learned was Gaia, but it was a little girl in that movie, a little baby alien Skrull who is now grown up and will be played by Emilia Clarke in Secret Invasion next month.
So stoked about this show. It's clearly going to be a more mature-focused, political thriller type of narrative that finally is going to give Samuel L. Jackson the leading role that he should have had years ago.
Yeah, he made his first appearance all the way back in the first Iron Man movie, so this is very long overdue.
We've been doing the trending video going on 5 years next month. We're going to do some special stuff here coming soon. And if you want to support what we do, over 200 trending videos, over 100 Hot 10 videos, 5 years worth of content, there's one way to support this show. The best way is to give us an excuse to send you comics every month. We pack a box with love and care, 4 to 5 comic books, sometimes prints, sometimes kids' books, and every box gets exclusives. This month, for $34.99 plus shipping, you get Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones #1, a gorgeous cover by Ariel Diaz, a trade dress, and a Maleficent #1 by Johnny Desjardins, Virgins Going Out at Random.
Yeah, I was excited to see we're doing a variant from Maleficent #1. She's my favorite Disney character. Sleeping Beauty's my favorite Disney movie. It's a whole thing. It's a whole story, but it was really cool to see Johnny Desjardins' take on that. We've also been throwing a whole bunch of really spicy key books in there. We've put in Amazing Spider-Man 300, I believe. A Hulk 181 has gone out in the mystery mail call before. The first High Evolutionary, which was topical considering Guardians 3. Just sign up. It's pretty fun.
We're doing our best to keep the box affordable, getting ready to expand it internationally again. Link in the description, or you can go to comictom101.com to support the show and get comics from us.
We're going to go ahead and give a spoiler warning here because we've gotten in trouble the last few videos where we spoiled what we're about to say without any kind of warning whatsoever. So, spoiler warning.
Dude, we didn't spoil this, man. Mainstream and Marvel spoiled this, damn it. We have
Just making sure.
At the list of number 4, Ms. Marvel #1 from 2014, the first solo titled Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan ongoing run, an increase of 375% in copies sold this week. We do have the Marvels movie about to debut. I went and saw Guardians, as mentioned, and one of the previews was for the Marvels movie, and I have to say, I wasn't as excited about this movie until I saw the previews. It looks amazing.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people agree with us on this, but I think it looks like a fun, Freaky Friday body swap comedy movie, which I never would have thought we would see done in the MCU. So I'm looking forward to it, too. It looks like more fun than the first Captain Marvel.
They played Beastie Boys throughout the whole trailer. Fun is a good way to describe my feeling of what we're going to experience when watching this movie. And this book hit heights of, yes, $960 for a CGC 9.8, but that was an outlier. The heights this book really reached was closer to $500-600 on average. The last GPA sale, which took place May this year, $112. Hot damn, that book is affordable.
Yeah, I might be in the minority on this one, too, but I actually kind of liked the Ms. Marvel show on Disney+. I didn't hate it. It wasn't meant for 30-year-old men, so you got to take that into consideration. That being said, I thought it was a lot of fun. There's another reason, however, Ms. Marvel is spiking this week.
Spoiler!
Spoiler warning, yet again, she's going to die.
It's not funny, but she's going to die. They're saying it's going to be the biggest death in 50 years, dude.
That's the frustrating part because it's been a direct quote ever since this issue was announced that this is the most shocking issue of Amazing Spider-Man in 50 years, which is a direct reference to the death of Gwen Stacy, which happened 50 years ago in 1973, and is one of the most important issues of Spider-Man of all time. And to say this is the next best thing since that is a little insulting, to be completely honest.
Regardless of anyone's opinion, I am anxiously awaiting to see the release of ASM 26 this week to see how Zeb Wells, the writer, is handling it. Also consider his ties to the Marvels movie. This can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, he's a writer on the Marvels movie as well, so he had to have known that there was plans to kill off Ms. Marvel in the comics. It might be a little bit of a connection there, especially when you consider that Ms. Marvel has been established as a mutant in the MCU, but not in the comic books. There's certainly some stuff happening with Krakoa and Resurrection over on the X-Men side of things over at Marvel, so perhaps we are seeing her killed off and she will be resurrected as an official mutant in the Marvel Comics to more bring her closer in line with the on-screen version, similar to what they did with Nick Fury a few years ago.
Also throw out there, I did drop, and didn't really mention it on YouTube, an ASM 26 Peach Momoko Virgin variant on ComicTom101.store. And we're still doing pre-sales. If you want to grab one, go hit it. Join the newsletter because that is the way you can keep up with all of our drops and get to our variants early.
I see what you're doing here, sneaky. You're mentioning the newsletter because that's also how you enter to win our giveaways, which Tom is holding right here. We have Amazing Spider-Man issue number 41. That is the first appearance of the Rhino, who will be making another live-action appearance in the upcoming Kraven the Hunter film.
ASM 41, graded at a 5.0. You should definitely comment on our videos, but the only thing you have to do is join our newsletter, because that way we know how we can reach out to you and get you this book if you win it.
Yeah, but you should still comment, because I like talking to you guys down in the comments. It's a lot of fun.
And now at the list at number 3, a very tough book in high grade. Dark Horse Comics paper was notoriously terrible during this time period. We have Dark Horse Presents issue number 36. This came out in 1990. This is the first Alien versus Predator. 2 franchises that I absolutely adore.
Yeah, it's cool to think this crossover first happened in comics before any crappy movies ever came out in the mid-2000s. We are seeing a 200% increase in copies sold this week compared to previous weeks because news broke recently that there is a fully produced, fully finished 10-episode anime series that Disney is just sitting on.
Like, what are they doing? They're waiting for something to hatch? Like, this is all done. It's expensive to make animations. And with the recent success of Predator on Hulu, you'd think that people would be prime for an AVP animated series.
Yeah, the Prey movie dropped last year on Hulu, which I still haven't watched.
I've seen it 4 times already.
Tom loved that movie. He couldn't shut up about it, so maybe I should make the time for it, but I know I probably won't. I don't have Hulu anymore. We're seeing $25 average sales for this book, with a recent high 9.8 sale of $288 take place earlier this month.
There are 2 versions of this cover, so keep an eye out for that. And the heights this book reached was $570 for a CGC 9.8 during the comic boom of 2020. We know that the success of Prey has pushed production on the Alien movie, which is also headed to Hulu, which is perfect. This is where these franchises need to live because they're going to do it right. They're going to have a little bit of a limited budget, but that means that they're going to have to really focus in on a quality story.
On top of that, however, we are also seeing an Alien TV show that is still happening, thank goodness, because it's being created by Noah Hawley, who made the show Fargo for FX, which is one of my top shows of the last decade. It's a terrific show. You guys need to watch it. Unfortunately, Noah Hawley was attached to make a Doctor Doom TV series that never panned out, but if he's going to go and switch and make an Alien show instead, that's more than enough for me. I'm happy to see that show, and I'm excited.
And now let's talk about a book that everyone needs to know is expensive and is probably being put in $5 bins at the list at number 2. Amazing Spider-Man, the movie, number 1. We got Emma Stone. We got Andrew Garfield. Why is this book hitting $60 average sales and CGC 9.8s? $350 this month?
Yeah, this is a perfect example of a kind of book that I would assume is just a crappy movie tie-in and flip right past while I'm looking through, like Tom said, like the dollar bins at the local comic shop. It's surprising to see it spiking this high, but we did get news break that Andrew Garfield's going to have a CGC signing, which is kind of weird considering he's only been on the cover of a couple of comic books. We're going to go through them here in a minute. The deadline to submit books for that signing is June 23rd, so keep that in mind.
They're doing a lot of signings, too. I know Brian Michael Bendis, Dan Jurgens. We also saw Randy Emberlim join the list. Like,
Alakwa Cox from Echo has one, too, coming up. There's a lot. There's a lot of signings happening right now. Rob Liefeld just finished one. We talked about Frank Miller recently.
A 687% increase in copies sold of this. As you mentioned, there's only a couple comics that feature Andrew Garfield, at least like without a mask, which is the one you'd want him to sign, right? And it's cover A of this run. They also did a second issue, but he's not featured on the cover. And then the second volume, he is on the cover, but you kind of get a back shot of him, and it's not as cool, especially because you don't got Emma Stone on it.
Yeah, I feel like, and poor Andrew Garfield is just going to be signing thousands and thousands of copies of this one book because there's not that many options of stuff to send him in. But yeah, this photo variant with Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield on it, to me, is the clear winner.
Yo, I disagree with you. I think that this would be a great opportunity to not go crazy and just get a cool looking Spider-Man book for like $10. Like, gotta consider this. If you want to get Frank Miller to sign an 300 number 1 9.8, you're paying hundreds of dollars to get that slab, to crack it, to risk the travel, to risk Frank Miller handling it, to do a signature to get it back at a 9.8. That's like the traditional grind here. Just go and get a classic Spider-Man dope cover. It doesn't have to be pricey. In fact, knowing that it's going to have a celebrity signature on it, you probably don't want it to be a major key.
Question. Will they slap magazines?
Yeah, of course.
So you could find some sort of maybe Empire or Film magazine or something like that with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man on the cover. Maybe get that signed instead?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more pricey because it's a magazine, but they'll grade them.
I would imagine there won't be as many of those making their way down there as this Amazing Spider-Man tie-in comic.
Now, you also mentioned Alakwa Cox is doing a signing at CGC as well. Daredevil number 9, the first appearance of Echo, also made the trending 20. You got an extra week to get those books in by June 30th.
You. Hey, you. Have you hit the like button?
Watching the video. Have you done it yet?
I don't think you have.
Damn it!
You probably should. Otherwise, who knows what could happen.
We need your support, yo. Hit the like. Slap the subscribe. We're here every week for you. And the number 1 book on the list, oh my gosh, I think Marvel made a horrendous, outstanding, terrible mistake.
But they also didn't, because number 1 on the list is ROM number 1 from 1979. They might have actually made a really good decision because they're reprinting all of ROM in omnibus format. However, they're not calling it the ROMnibus, which is right there for them to use, and no one thought to call it that. They even called a Venom omnibus the Venomnibus, which makes no sense.
Why not call this the ROMnibus? We've been talking about this for years because they haven't reprinted this, knowing that the omnibus had to be made. But why not the pun?
I guess it doesn't matter. There's a 325% increase of copies sold of this book compared to previous weeks because this is exciting news. ROM has never been reprinted because there's rights issues tied up with Hasbro, so they only exist in single issue format. There's no like trades of this book anywhere, so you gotta wait for an eventual omnibus to get reprinted, which is happening now. It will be out early next year.
Much like Micronauts, Transformers, G.I. Joe, the toys came first, the comics came second as a form of marketing. But this story went to 75 issues and included creators like Bill Mantlo, Steve Ditko, John Byrne, Bob Layton, Joe Sinnott, Sal Buscema. Everyone's got to read ROM, and this is on one of my list of things to read. I have not read it yet, but I definitely consider this as one of the ones on my bookshelf that I need to get, but I haven't been able to put it there because Marvel hadn't reprinted it yet. But there's facsimiles coming and an omnibus, and I'm definitely getting it.
Yeah, they're doing a facsimile of ROM number 1. That comes out first. That'll be at the end of this year. And then, yeah, the ROMnibus, which is not the name of it, will be dropping early 2024.
An increase of 325% after this news broke. We're seeing $35 average sales, CGC 9.8 hitting $260, which is down since its heights were reached in 2021 of $695. And we cannot talk about ROM without talking about Bill Sienkiewicz. And we can't talk about ROM and Bill Sienkiewicz without talking about robot booty.
I think Tom's just looking for an excuse to talk about robot booties again, because he does that in every video. You might not have noticed. Some of the inclusions are a little more subtle than others, but here it's very in your face, as it is on this cover, an Incredible Hulk 296. It's in your face. Thanks, Bill S.
I can't help but always buy this book when I can, introduce it to people who've never seen it because it's so ridiculous and perky.
But it's also part of why ROM is cool. ROM crossed over with characters like the Hulk. You know, it makes sense that we would see him reprinted, and maybe if there's enough sales of this facsimile issue and or the ROMnibus, which I'm going to keep calling it that, and maybe someone will catch the hint. If there's enough sales, maybe we'll see like a new ROM miniseries or some sort of new ROM something in the future, so fingers crossed.
Do you want to see more ROM? Do you want to see more Bill S. ROM booty? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always,
Geek responsibly.
Enough said. The Bags and Boards podcast is officially back. You can listen to it on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, or iTunes. We talk about comic collecting, reading books. We go through like collection finds, stories, and it features the Golden Age Guru and Fire Guy Ryan. Podcast 73 was released yesterday. We talk about some of the biggest finds from our 350,000 comic book collection purchase, a ton of Silver Age books, and this selling Superman documentary that the Golden Age Guru was featured in. Click it, check it out. We made it for you. And then also have a great Memorial Day weekend. Peace.